Moment, and welcome back everybody to the Heroes of the Storm Fall Regionals #2, live from Gamescom Cologne. And we have one more best of 3 waiting for us. It's going to be the deciders match here at Group B between the Jabronis and ExcelenteEleccion. Going full Spanish mode here. At least I'm trying, so go easy on me, guys. But what really can we expect here between those two teams? I mean, they faced each other before. It was a 2-for-1 in favor of EE, but it was one hell of a show, Gilly.
I think we can expect that both of the teams are warmed up and maybe feeling more comfortable at this point. That's what we saw from EE as the day progressed, especially in Game 2 against Misfits. It was good. But Jabronis themselves in the last match, even the game they lost, they were winning for a lot of it versus GIZ. So I think we could have an even better match between these two teams than we had before.
It's amazing how much they look like they've settled down.
Yes.
Like they still have some slip-ups here and there. They're not quite on Misfits levels, but what we see is a little bit more refined strategy and a little bit more coordination. It's almost like they just said, hey, guys, we've got all the bad stuff out of the way. They're actually making really good plays and being able to follow up in ways that we didn't see earlier today. I've been super impressed as the afternoon has gone on.
Yeah, exactly. EE also played a lot better already against Misfits.
Yeah.
Even though they lost, they looked very good doing so in the second game. And when we look at the drafts between the two, we've seen a lot of similar contested picks. Not anything out of the ordinary, really, going for things like Raynor or Medivh.
That was yesterday's crazy.
There's one team that does that. But, I mean, it's cool. I love that. But just stressing that they are a little bit more on their fundamentals and they're starting to get comfortable with their fundamental mechanics. The only thing that we've really seen, Jabronis goes a little bit more for Thrall, and we see a little bit more EE going for Li Ming. But for the rest, many of their picks are rotated between the two.
Heavily contested Arthas picks is what we're going to see between these two.
Oh, absolutely. One of Dana Tan's favorites, for sure.
By far his favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really cool to see, of course, that, you know, the meta between the teams at Group B is a little bit different from what we've seen yesterday. I mean, it's really cool to see how different the play styles are. I mean, even the Jabronis pulling out the Zool, which is considered to be a very viable and strong heroes all over the world, except for Europe.
You know, one of the cool things that we have here, Gilly, I'm actually going to reference you on this one. So we have the European meta, which is somewhat defined. But what we see, this is something I remember Gilly first talking about a couple months ago, was that inter-match meta, or the two teams, they start to develop their own meta within the match. And it almost seems like this entire group, outside of Misfits, has kind of done that against each other. And these two teams in particular look very similar, as Grubby just said a minute ago.
Yeah, one of the most seen examples was when we had Brain Power versus Cloud9 in NA.
The Nubarak.
And it was like, where is this Nubarak first pick coming from? But teams that have scrimmed together, or at least been playing together throughout this a lot, it makes different heroes pop up in priority a lot more. Like we saw with Tyrael. Tyrael has just been on fire this week, or tonight.
But that's awesome. Like Darwin already discovered this mechanic in divergent evolution. If something grows up in their own isolated ecosystem, and you don't have a chance to compare or change gene pools, if we continue the analogy, that kind of stuff happens.
Grubby's been hitting the books.
We call him Professor Grubby sometimes for a reason, I mean. But for now, we're going to take a ticket to Sky Temple here. We're going to book one, and it's going to be a very interesting one to see. False Tyrael, I mean, that is really the standard go-to bans for the most part.
Yesterday, out of the 6 first bans between these two teams, actually it was earlier this morning, it was 5 times False Tyrael, and we had 1 single Kerrigan first ban.
I am so happy already with what is coming out from EE. Every game that they highly prioritized ETC, including a Sky Temple versus Jabronis, the first match of them, they first pick, or they were the second pick and pulled in ETC Greymane. It didn't work out for them. The ETC wasn't working. Now they've done Muradin Greymane instead, so they are evolving. They are noticing what hasn't been working for them today.
Exactly.
I think we're going to figure out what that second pick is, but Li Ming, not a surprise there. I wouldn't be surprised if
it's a purple Caldor.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's an early Arthas pickup. I don't know if they necessarily need it, especially with we're looking at a Muradin on the other side. We're gonna get some info on that here in a second. But
all right. By the way, I've just received word that the missing hero, or that the one that's not being shown, is ETC. In fact.
ETC. Okay. Right. Cool. So we're seeing a little bit of.
You didn't know he has cloak.
Okay, there's a band Arthas.
All right, Arthas.
New talent.
That's interesting, by the way, because I don't think we've seen a lot of Arthas bans, although he's been in nearly every single game.
It's this divergent evolution we're talking about.
Yes.
These two teams, they both love Arthas. It's like a kid. Like, if I can't play with it, I don't want you to play with it too.
A second warrior now coming in to play for Excelente, as they're going to get a noob and Murden. And these teams have been very much prioritizing, focusing their drafts on warriors, even getting Rhaegar now, so they will have their support ahead and making sure that they have him to help out with wave clear, as well as him still being the favored support for sure.
I'm really curious, since we've already seen the Murd and an Uberak, and they are going to go Sonya, and that fits into a lot of what Jabronis likes to do. That's actually Eternal's #1 played hero as far as what we have draft data on. So that fits right into what they're going on. Sylvanas being the last pickup for Excelente is a little bit interesting. I think they're going to try and look to get control of Uberak to dive in. He's got a dive buddy named Greymane. That's pretty scary, and that's why I really like the Sonya pickup, because you're already pretty squishy on that backline with somebody like Zagara and Li Ming, and no Tychus this time.
So we see a lot of an Uberak coming in against mages like Li Ming, for example. It would be interesting to see how the win rate actually is. Like, who's going to come on top most of the time, an Uberak or Li Ming?
I don't know. I don't know about the win rate. It's just generally accepted because of dampen magic and the Beatles, the way they block the skill shots, that he is a primary counter to Li Ming. Even the win rate probably wouldn't show it exactly, because it's never truly a 1v1. There's a lot of different components of every draft.
Of course, gotcha. So both teams are ready. Of course, everything's on the line here. I mean, this is your last chance to secure a spot for the playoffs. And by the way, guys, something we haven't actually mentioned, I think, during the brackets, the winning team will face Dignitas, since they are the second spot here at Group B.
No big deal.
And Dignitas is slot 1 at Group A.
This is the first time that the Jabronis have drafted Sonya. But when we saw Misfits start to play Sonya, bring her in, and focus on more about trying to deal with a double warrior, it worked out very well for them.
Yeah,
Wondering how it will work for them here.
And we're going into our last game of the day, the best of 3 between the Jabronis and ExcelenteEleccion. To the left, we have the Jabronis with Danatan on ETC. We're seeing Dikosoi on Zagara, Crosby on Li Ming, Eternal on Sonya, and Linked on Karazhan.
And for Excelente on the right-hand side, we're going to have Grand Paquete on the Rhaegar, Zarmany on the Uberak, Mopsio on the Murden, Cillian playing the Greymane, and Zalia on the Sylvanas.
This is going to be a pretty fantastic game. The two teams, they met once already, of course, earlier here today, where ExcelenteEleccion in the end was able to win the series. Now it's all about getting out of this group. This is the match that really matters, and we are starting the series off on Sky Temple.
Such an interesting map choice here for these teams. One of my favorites to see played out. We've seen a lot of actually surprisingly crazy games on this map, specifically with some of the decision-making made out of these teams. Already starting off with a small hiccup here, sadly.
With a small 3-2-3 right there. And actually, we have in the case of Zagara, your most favorite talent. I'm really happy that we get to see that once again.
Yeah,
it's the volatile asset. Tell us a little bit more about it, Dra.
Well, the fact that the main lanes can travel 50% farther, and they also do 50% damage to everything. That's pretty much not a hero at this point, and it's been one that I had a lot of conversations with early on, for those who don't know, about the comparing it to Infest.
Are you going to bring the European meta back to NA when you go back?
You mean how how Misfits drafted the North American meta and they looked the most convincing team in this entire tournament? Or
burn, shots fired right there.
No, but seriously, I have been surprised by this talent. I think it's shown a lot of value, but it hasn't necessarily been as dominant, I guess, I feel like, as Infest could have been at times. Yep. I think they both have a place. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to get the value out of that split push here, especially because on this patch that we're playing on, Infest is still at 150% value rather than the 100 it got nerfed to after.
I think it's one of the beauties of Heroes of the Storm that you have different regions with different priorities, not only in the hero staff, but also in the way that you actually build the heroes.
Yeah.
It's one of the beautiful things about the game in general.
No, I think it is really kind of the creativity that you can see in the compositions and playstyles between the teams. But we're going to be getting right back into it here as we see EE aggressively moving on to control the vision here. But for now, it looks like they're going to be running a 2-on-2. No, Zach, okay, they're going to be making the rotation, getting the free value here out of this. But Jabronis, I'm surprised they decided to be so passive, already splitting up here already. Zach is trying to get value on the bottom half, but...
Yeah, they were trying to keep guessing a little bit on where exactly Sylvanas would move with the rest of the team, and they decided to go out to the top lane, forcing Sonya back for a quick heal back at the well. The interesting part here is also that actually in the middle of the last series that they played, Grant Paqueta said that he did not expect the Jabronis to be this strong. And he also said he expected his own team to play much stronger. They had a couple of problems in the previous series, and I feel one of the things that we have to point out is that especially Mopsio seemed to struggle a little bit at the front line.
Yeah, he was a very easy target, it felt like, at certain points in the matchup here, and it's something that we need to see kind of being an adjustment overall for them, because I feel like it almost lost them games at points when he was out of range, especially of Paquete.
In Further Shrines, it also was definitely a big issue when they lost that match, but one other thing against Misfits then later on, and it's also, of course, a problem that they had to deal with. They played 2 games back-to-back, and that can be a problem. Now they had a break, they could talk about things. They could also, of course, observe the last few games and prepare for the match that is now at hand. We have the 2 temples announced, and this is where we're going to start things off with Sky Temple. This is when you really start to begin to take your opponent's structures down.
And already starting out, Jabronis has the advantage, keeping Zag in the 1v1. Greymane really can't do too well in that matchup, but Zag is just one of the most dominant solo laners in the game. So the fact that they're winning shots on the upper half and keeping the Zag down there in that 1v1 is a great position here already for Jabronis.
And we have Sonya in the middle going up against the Muradin right now. Up to the top, on the other hand, a 3 versus 3 battle is happening here. Grant Paqueta is dodging as well as he can. And this at the top lane is still being held by the Jabronis. It is crazy.
They dominated on mid in the 1v1, and this 3v3 is going well for now, but maybe not the case as Danahan is on the retreat. 3-man burrow.
Ling kind of low there, FOMO. That's a really good stun. Grant Paqueta eating most of the damage, moving back the teams both on 4 now. The Medusa blades on Zagara at the bot lane are going to make it even easier for Dikuzoy now to push this lane back. He already eliminated one of the towers and has the gate down to just barely a few HP.
Yeah, and we see that Jabronis was actually able to capture the last shots in the upper half here, making the rotation towards mid. So we'll see a bit of a 4v4 skirmish here for a short period of time. Actually, it looks like they're going to be giving up the shots instead. They were so aggressive for so long and successful with them. I'm surprised to see them not be a bit more aggressive here, as they do decide they are going to make the rotation. Leeming still not with them.
And talking about aggression, we have a Nubarak now with the Underking on level 4. He really wants to dive deep with this one. Wants to go for that Zagara in the back line if he sees an opportunity. And talking Zagara, she's still active at the bot lane, and she is wrecking Greymane right now.
He can't really do anything about it. That's the struggle of Zagara right now, is that unless you pick a laner that's really going to be able to deal with her, and as long as you have a solid 4-man, she really just becomes an absolute terror in that lane.
All that volatile asset value.
Yeah. Think of that as a infest, 150% damage. I mean, that at that point is doing like insane value in that 1v1, you know? I mean...
Lights on right there. But I mean, look at it. They achieved exactly what they wanted to. The fountain is down. What do you do at this point? You kind of have to give up the bot lane.
Yeah, and it's going to be in a position where, knowing that the second Shrine phase is going to be spawning on the bottom half, there's no well for Excellent to really just be looking towards to be able to get that tap. So if they gain the upper hand at any point during the skirmish, it's really going to be a large downfall for them in this composition. So right now, Jabronis, they don't have that big of a lead, but honestly, they feel like they are the commanding team here already in this match.
I completely agree. Now at the top lane, we're seeing currently Excellent actually trying to go for a bit of value themselves. If you take the well of an opponent down the fountain, then you just deny them to tap when there's an objective up on the map. Of course, on Sky Temple, the next temple will spawn at the bot lane, which is why the pressure of Zagara is so important and gives such a massive lead now for the second objective phase to Jabronis. But at the top lane, there's the pressure against Eternal. The Stormbolt hits home. Sonya in trouble. Eternal goes down. Good kill. ETC too late to save her.
Yeah, no reset's going to be a variable here. Azalea really abusing that Sylvanas passive, going to force this lead. And I was just going to make a comment about how the laning phase with the dominance here on the bottom half, it was a beautiful rotation. Excelente, the fact that they realized they weren't going to be able to do much on bottom, instead rotating top, getting a kill, and going even in the structure trade here, that was a very crucial play on their half to really make sure that this game doesn't snowball out of control. Zag doing her job.
Yeah, doing her job, and Greymane is just sitting here and just pinging SOS the entire time to his team. It's like, team.
Exactly.
Why is nobody helping me? I need a rotation here.
As a player who was the Uther in that lane a lot of the times, I can really empathize with that. Like, he's got a bit more control, but Uther just throws out the W, and you're like, all right, that's about all I got.
It's like, okay, can you wait a couple of seconds until I got the ready again?
Yeah. Just give me a moment here, Zag. Okay, I get it. You're winning the lane. I'll give you the ward, but just give me a breather.
Stop showing off here.
Yeah.
Well, the 7 talents are, of course, in play now, and with that, we have also a lot more sustain on the side of Sonya with the ferocious healing at this point. The bile drop for Zagara is even stronger longer. This is really the moment when you can tell that EE does not have that well at the bot lane. They have one shot, and as soon as they start dropping, they need to rotate away, which is exactly what they're doing right now. Trying to find value on the other lanes and push in the mid lane.
That was definitely a large waste of time, though, looking at EE and realizing that they weren't going to be able to take that fight. I feel like they should have recognized the circumstances and what they were going to do with top down. That's usually the counterplay, right? It spawns up bottom, you can't take it. Well, at least we can siege on top, meaning mid is the only lane available. And with mid being the only lane available, it's a very solid response from Jabronis to make that rotation here. So I personally feel that was a pretty poor rotation on the side of Excelente. I feel like they could have done something other than just playing the most passive and like time-sensitive decision that they made.
It really looked like they were hoping to just move down, get a kill, or at least a jump on someone to drop them low, force them back, and then maybe take the Shrine over. That didn't work, and therefore, as you said, it was more or less a waste of time. With all that pressure against structures, the Jabronis are ahead now. They took down the fort in the mid lane. They have a slightly inexperienced, but at least we're still in the same ballpark area here. 10 versus 10 on the levels.
Yeah, it's still going to be in a position here where they have a lot of winning trades as long as they go even with the Shrines again, because that structure advantage, and that means a lot more than people give credit for, but we do see him going down, Danatan trying to make something happen. That's already going to be a lot of damage going on to Mopsio. Again, we talked about how he might be a problem, but that's going to be a two-man mob.
The more could be good. That's the silence. Cleanse is already out. Was used for Mirrodin. They kill potentially against Harmony. They get that in there, trying to follow it up with another one. And Celium falls too. It's a double kill. And Unubarak in this case, do you think that was actually by accident, or do you actually think he tried to get the stun and to save the rest of them?
I don't honestly know.
With
The fact that Focus Swarm wasn't popped makes me question a little bit more. I think he just kind of accepted his fate, I guess, at that point, and that's going to lead to now a boss play here for Jabronis, gaining now a level lead, structural advantage here in every way, shape, and form. They are really in the driver's seat once again.
I mean, Unubarak just, in my opinion, showing the bromance here. He could have escaped with the Underking, and he just said, Greymane,
no, man.
I got this, I'll help you out, and then both of them died.
Yeah,
Feels bad, man.
It feels bad. That's a... You know, whenever you're on those kind of support-ish roles, I mean, tank is kind of like that with the amount of crowd control. It's really hard to make that decision on whether or not you want to sacrifice yourself to try and aid a teammate, or if you want to be like the greedy, selfish, you know, support players and tank players. You know, they're always looking out for the team. I can respect the choice, but it doesn't work out for them. 13-tier advantage now going to be achieved relatively quickly. Jabronis is just going to honestly out-rotate their opponents here. Excelente is really going to be the one who needs to take the fight to them, but again, they're going to be down a talent here.
The boss, of course, was taken, did a bit of damage at the bot lane, started to push this in. 13 is what we're looking at now, but already both of the templates under the control of the Jabronis. They give up the bot lane, they have to, but they got a couple of shots for free, and that's all that they need here. They are in the lead already when it comes to the structural advantage, and they also have the level 13 talent on top of it now too.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be just a trade here across the board. Actually, Xaylia getting out a bit too far here. They're going to be able to force the fight. Li Ming's going to throw in the orb. It will be warned by Grand Paquete. That actually saved his life, even though it didn't look like it quite there. But now they're on the retreat as the Turtle gets a flank.
Yeah, Eternal is actually starting to move in against Greymane once again. Look at Harmony. Nice silence. There's the Ancestral to keep the bug alive. But all of a sudden, we have Grand Paquete also in trouble. Again, the Underking giving value. And Sylvanas is trying to escape at the left, but Xaylia is already followed by Donatan's ETC.
Yeah, slowly but surely he is going to fall here. There's no way he gets the wave out. No way he gets the wave out. There we go. All right, so they confirm the kill, and that is only going to further the lead here for Jabronis. Being able to confirm now a double Shrine here, confirming top is going to get threat onto the key front walls for both of these lanes. And really, that's almost in potential position during the next phase where they're going to actually get a keep here. They've already, that's very rare this early into a game.
When we're talking about the 13 talents, looking at that spell shield on Zagara, what's your personal take on it? Oftentimes we see actually the extra health sustain that you get from your Hydralisk. In this case, you have a Greymane against you. It feels a little bit you're trying to avoid some of that damage. Do you think this is, like we've seen that trade a little bit more often today. What's your personal take on the talent choice?
I personally feel like Eternal's in a rough spot, but they do see the rotation here. We'll get to that in just a moment, as it seems like it's going to be a full 5-on-5. Everybody on the same talent here. But we see Mopsio once again taking a large amount of damage for the first time. They feel like they have comfort in this team fight, but Harmony is on the retreat. It just feels like they can't get a break.
Yeah, they're always trying, they're always disengaging. They're never really in a position where they can force the issue. They always get jumped and have to somehow disengage, and that's on even talents now.
Yeah, it's such a rough spot. But again, talking about the spell shield that we see coming out of the Zagara, I think I don't dislike it. I personally feel like it's an overly safe talent choice. I feel like it's not maybe min-maxing as ideally as it can, but it's not. Being on the defensive side when you were this in control of a match is not necessarily the worst mentality to have, especially when your opponents don't necessarily have the most insane scaling composition.
Well, right now, he's faring pretty well with it. We have 13 versus 13 talents, and this is, of course, a big power spike for Murder in particular. With the way that they've been playing this, now having the healing static together with a level 4 double collab with Thunderburn, you want to be in the thick of things. This is exactly where Murder is supposed to be right now, where he thrives, and that's something that they're going to look forward to. Maybe now that have this sustained at the front line, they can finally take these fights.
Excelente right now is pretty much giving up the only window they're going to have on the same talent here, and personally, this seems like a very standard play. Oh, we're not going to be on the same talents here for a while. Let's split back and soak, but they can't do that anymore. They're already threatening keeps. You aren't going to be able to win the fight into 16 tier. It's way too powerful of a power spike. The fact that they backed out, took Giants, then took Knights, it's one of those things where it's not a fight where you want to take. Obviously, it hasn't been looking too pretty, but it's not going to get any prettier.
I really feel they have to take the fight regardless, because as you said, they can't wait until they soak more than an entire level. There's already another temple activated at the bot lane. The only way that I could see is if they really feel everyone is down bot lane, they see that they could maybe try and counter-rotate with Sylvanas, attempt to get some value, but I just don't think the Jabronis are going to let that happen.
They're trying to make the map manipulation, expecting everybody to be on the bottom half of the map here, so they're threatening on the upper, getting a couple of shots on bottom, so that was a little bit of a rotation and gave them time. The fact that Jabronis is even risking these shots this early on, it was a little bit of a cheeky play on Excellent, and Jabronis bit the, went for the bait, really. I'm surprised that they made that rotation, considering the fact that that would have possibly confirmed a keep on the bottom half. It might not have 100%, but it's very, very close if it didn't. Mopsio now is in a rough spot here. We're going to see the sun coming out from ETC as soon as possible, but they don't have too much kill potential down there quite yet.
There's 3 heroes down here. He just moves away. They were never meant to fight in the first place. The Gara stayed at the top. That kept them safe. But now that play is happening that we've been talking about. They're moving into the mid lane, attempting to get Sylvana value, but they are already being followed. Danatan is there. So is Link. They're once again going for Zarmony. Already the wave of force being out there, but Grand Paquet healing everybody out. The Mosh Pit on the other hand, and the immediate kill against the Numerak. The Ancestor has no chance of hitting. Mopsio also in trouble as Sonya comes in again, and goodbye Muradin. The Dwarf is down, and that's now 5 kills versus 1 and a 5 versus 3 on the map. Free toss for the Jabronis.
Yeah, 16 tier is barely going to be picked up here after this boss for Jabronis. They're going to finish the shots on bottom, which will help get a little bit of bonus siege here. But this is a mistake we've seen out of these teams, and pretty much in this entire group outside of Misfits, that they open up a win condition, which is going to be through this keep, but they panic and threaten for the keep, or excuse me, for the game in situations where it's unrealistic. Their boss control, Mosh Pit's going to be off cooldown, and Ma is the only one available here, so I'd like to see them be a bit more patient, because this is a situation they can throw. They can win, but it's not 100% as we see the engage.
They're trying to go in once again. Zayla repositioning already, as is the Ma on the backline, only hitting 1 at this point. There's the silence, a good one against 4 heroes. The engage on the side of EE. They go for Sagara, and the palm is triggered, and in the last second possible, they're jumping in once again as Raven is attempting to get the kill against Link, and he's going for it. He's getting it. Crosby on the run. This could be a snowball.
And there's so much happening in this team fight. We see Eternal is going to be going down as well. That's 3 for 0 now at this point. Yes, the boss is knocking on the core, barely getting through the shields. It has a large amount of HP remaining, and that was such a beautiful job from Excelente. They did take the fight that they really realized, okay, our opponents might have the opportunity to be able to win the game here, but they didn't fight underneath the boss. The minute their opponents took 1 step back, they said, we're coming with you, never giving them a moment of breathing room, and that's a very crucial thing. We've seen a lot of teams fail to do that today, where they don't take the fights, they move back with the boss. That's the worst case scenario.
Exactly.
The closer they are to the core, the higher probability you're going to lose that game, and they just ignore you, go for core.
You move with the boss gets 1 stun through. All of a sudden, even if you're not hit by it, you have to scramble, you have to move out, you're out of position, your opponent picks you off 1 by 1, and you just die right there. In this case, the core took damage. They had to make that trade. They got 3 kills, their core took damage. The last few shots on the bot lane at the temple were also soaked, but now they have a bit of momentum going for themselves, and they closed that gap to a certain extent. 18 versus 18 in levels. Maybe now there's a way for them to turn this back. 16 versus 16 talents. and a lot of damage now. Muradin, give him the axe, Alpha Killer on the side of Greymane. That can really help in these situations.
The most important thing for ExcelenteEleccion right now is to just try and make sure that they always take the fight to their opponents, never letting them, as you see the aggression, if you draw a line halfway through the map, every ounce of the fight that's going to be taken closer and closer to the core means that they have opportunity for backdoor, because 66% is low enough that people can gain a lot of value. Sonya alone, Matthew though, getting almost the lead there. Great cleanse coming out. He gets the torch toss, and now this is getting ugly.
The more it's there, the silence is through. Danatan is on the run and he's down. That's a double kill as Karazim is already dead. They're following it up with a kill against Sagara. Li Ming is also annihilated. Look at the third of the last survivor, but for how long? Zamani wants him. Zelia is already on the way to the left there saying, why would we waste time? Screw that, we just go in and we take down that keep at the bot lane. Eternal, he's trying to threaten at the bottom a bit. That's not gonna happen. This is gonna be massive value for ExcelenteEleccion, and they are close to 20.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to get, I think this might be game. I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to stop this. Sonya has already been so slow on the response here. Nobody's going to be able to spawn. This is probably going to be it. She's not even threatening the core at all. Now we're getting the mount up. That's
too late. It's way too late here. They won 2 fights, the one at the boss, and now this one, they get 4 kills. They go for the core. What a play here by EE. They on the back foot nearly in the entire game. Turn it around with a great team fight. Go for the core and end the game. They take the lead in the last best of 3 series of the day.
This is the 3rd or 4th time we've seen a team take that boss to the bottom keep.
Reaction?
And just completely turn the game around.
Did you see Mopsio's reaction?
He was a little bit too aggressive in one direction, and then the team completely punishes them in every way, shape, and form, which led to a complete snowball in the response. I did 2 fights was all it took that whole game. I can't even believe what happened.
Look at it. He looked so confused for a moment. He was just like, what? Why? Like, we had this. What just happened, guys?
Yeah. Man.
And you know, once again, what happened in that fight? They jump on Muradin, they see Mopsio, and immediately Gran Paquete, all about him. Bam, the cleanse helps him with a shield. He jumps out, there follows immediately the ancestral healing, and that turns the entire fight around. So many cooldowns were already blown on Muradin, and they never confirmed the kill.
Yeah, it was such a great job there. And again, kind of maybe abusing some traits that they've seen in the earlier series here. Mopsio has done this more than one time, so really kind of abusing, hey, we expect him to be out of position the minute they see the Muradin, all ending him.
And of course, we're going to hear from our analysts now what they have to say about our first game before we are going to head into map number 2. Back to Kenrick and the boys and girls.
Thank you very much, guys. Wow, what a start. This already reminds me of a boxing fight without cover. I mean, both teams just constantly blowing and trading blows here, left, right, and center. It is absolutely cool to watch, and I can't wait to see what you have in store for us, because let's be honest, where did it go wrong for EE here?
I want to, Dread already pointed this out.
Yeah.
You can't always just drop back. The boss is going to push your core. You don't just defend at your core all the time. They let the boss go. It wasn't going to end. Turned around and took the fight to them. That was the huge turning point. And the minute they got that out of the way, it was all downhill from there, or uphill, I don't know, depending on which side you're on. But it was just such a beautiful, beautiful play to be able to not be afraid to go in and fight. They took the kills, and then, of course, they were just talking about the last one as well. They took the fight to them towards the end of that game.
I loved that fight. It was so good, but I love the last one too, with the Ancestral, Gran Paquete saving the day to get Mopsio out of there and a noob to go in.
It's a difficult situation, like that last moment with the Muradin. They were so close to getting the kill. They used everything to try and get it, and of course it was lethal, the fact that they didn't. But just speaking about when you see someone like that, like what it takes for you not to try to confirm the kill, knowing the risk that if the team is there, it's all about estimation. We often hear about, oh yeah, underestimation, but there's also overestimation. If you say like, oh, Muradin is there, but let's not risk it, that's not always right too. That's why it's very important to have the accurate estimation of how good your opponents are, how likely it is that he's followed up by his team. And this is a very difficult call to make every single time.
And I mean, the Jabronis, they were riding the wave of momentum here, defeating their opponents in their last years and really starting to look good against EE as well, but then they got crushed in the very last second. Now they have to recuperate and they have to recover themselves from that.
Well, guys, do you think we'll be seeing a Tychus this go around?
I think so. I don't see why not at this point.
2 of his pretty big threats are already gone, Kerrigan and Tyrael. I would say both are very good against Tychus.
EE have been focusing on Kael'thas a lot, and that's not going to change here, because while maybe not wanting him on Sky Temple, here specifically because he can steal skeletal defenders away, that's going to be really crucial for them, that they can do that pretty safely. Plus, they might want to pair that up, go back to the comfort zone of having ETC, although if they prioritize him highly, they might want to focus on having other things like Rhaegar here first.
This is identical to a lot of what we've seen throughout the day. Sylvanas Arthas, very early on. Obviously, Sylvanas, we already know what she does, locking down structures for the Punishers, pushing. Arthason's a lot. You know what I was happy that we saw, where we saw the Sonya come out? You know something we haven't seen a lot of on this map in particular, or I don't think we've seen it at all in the 2 days, a Sonya Tassadar. If you have Sonya, you've got KT, that's quite a bit of damage, and then you've got Tassadar that lends a little bit more. He helps with clearing a little bit. I'd love to see that at some point. It's kind of something we saw a few months ago, not something we've seen as much in the EU
Would you
region.
play that, Jay? Would you play that as a solo support comp or with a double support comp?
Double support.
Right.
Guys, this is the exact same draft.
This is the exact.
Literally the exact same draft when these guys played each other before. Kael'thas, then Sylvanas Arthas, then Leo. Rhaegar followed. Are we just going to go down that same path?
I feel like this has to be a Rhaegar.
But it's true, what you were saying, Tassadar Sonya, for example, Dignitas Navi, April 16, DreamHack Tours qualifier. It was Tassadar first ban on Infernal Shrines, and then Sonya pick. These picks were so highly contested, not a lot changed. Sonya got a little bit of a nerf since then. Tassadar didn't change at all. You would think it's still good, it's just the meta shift, the way people think about the games. A few other heroes changed, but we don't see it nearly as much.
Instead, we see a Tychus coming out here.
The thing about Tychus is that, Gilly, when you look at Arthas being picked up that early, you know, we've seen a couple solo Arthases. We didn't see exactly the best results. So it's preparing for the fact that they're looking at yet another warrior possibly coming in.
But I'm pretty sure the Jabronis are ones who don't mind running him solo.
The GIZ played solo Arthas today. They followed up with a Lily and a Illidan. Well, I should say Illidan. There were no other warriors, so it is possible. But generally, Tychus is a great pick against Arthas because you expect multiple warriors to come out, and he's pretty great. I feel like this is Tychus's tournament.
Yeah, and if you take a look at EE's lineup here a little bit more closely, you will get to see two tank shooters, Tychus and Leoric. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether the Jabronis really are brave enough to go with another warrior themselves.
I wonder, Greymane's still on the board, guys, and Kael'thas, Tychus are blow-up potential. I mean, obviously, you would have to assume they're going to pair up another warrior with Leoric, so maybe that's something you save towards your last pick to see what else you're going to be facing on the front line. I think there's a lot of potential there.
With Jabronis banning ETC, I think they're going to try to run this solo Arthas.
Yes.
I really think so, especially with what you mentioned with Leoric and Tychus.
Earlier today against GIZ, they played Arthas, and then they paired it with 3 orcs, Rhaegar, Gul'dan, and Thrall. Thrall is actually pretty okay here so far. Not the worst. He could be a pick here, but he's not that impactful on Infernal Shrines.
Even if you go solo Arthas, I know that Sonya doesn't fit into the traditional warrior, but they're going to go Jaina. Things are getting chilly in here between those two.
It could be Abathur. Abathur, Jaina.
16, things get real cold.
Abathur, Jaina, and you basically have a wonderful backline dealing tons of damage.
I would kind of like Abathur as the final pick. It could be a nice surprise. Very strong with Jaina. Can empower Arthas a bit.
I've even seen double Arthases before, too, on the front line. I think it was something that was run in NA a while back when it was still Cloud9 and Tempo Storm days. EE again getting Muradin, and finally Kharazim to round out their composition.
I'm really scared for Arthas here. Just think of a potential 7-sided strike here. He might get separated.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I would really not like to see Thrall if they're going to pair someone in that front line, because I don't know if they want to go. I feel like they almost need one, but do they want one?
Okay,
or
that one works.
Flip the script entirely and just go harass the backline of Kael'thas, Tychus.
It seems like a better choice. If you can pull the opponent apart, Kharazim's heals don't do as much. Distract at the front, Zeratul on Tychus or on Kael'thas. It's going to be very difficult to play. Zeratul, one of the most difficult heroes to play, not just mechanically,
Remember
but
yesterday, guys?
judgment. What's that?
What did we see yesterday? There's 2 heroes on
Frost Void Prison.
Oh, sure.
On the back line.
By Dignitas,
Yeah. And Dignitas made it look so easy to execute like these Void Prisons and Ring of
It
Frost.
was like a year ago, that was like the thing.
Yeah.
Even like a Malfurion throwing his like roots down.
Yeah. The Koreans were doing that a lot. Void Prison into Entangle, into Maul, into Ring of Frost, that kind of thing.
It was pretty scary.
So maybe the hope is they're waiting for EE to drop everything, focusing on Arthas. Entomb 7-sided strike comes out. They are distracted long enough for Void Prison to come in the back. The thing is, they can't do what happened. I think it was Fnatic that Dignitas ran it against, and constantly have them together.
Yeah.
The two backline together.
I think we don't have that much pressure on Arthas and Leoric. There's no giant killers. There's double mages, kind of. But
Like the thing
it's going to be difficult.
The thing when I look at for EE is they're a little bit more static. So we'll see how that goes.
Exactly, and the castles are ready, guys. So one more time, give it up for Kaldor and Dreadnought.
We are going into map number 2. It's Infernal Shrines once again. The Jabronis, they looked stronger, but they lost map number 1. Now we see them to the left side here with Dickozoy on Sylvanas, linked on Rhaegar. Crosby is playing Jaina. We see Eternal on Zeratul and Danatan on Arthas.
And for ExcelenteEleccion, we're going to have Cilium is going to be playing the Tychus, Zarmany on Leoric, Murden will be played by Mopsio, Grand Paquete on the Karazim, and Zalia will be playing the Kel'Thas.
This is going to be a pretty fantastic game, I'm not going to lie here. Seeing Eternal again on the Zeratul is absolutely amazing. What they are, of course, looking for is Void Prison into the Ring of Frost.
Yes.
All that damage of Jaina, trying to burst the target away, preferably, of course, the Kel'Thas, the Tychus, some of the damage she does here. And the first thing that happened when we saw that Zeratul was Dread talking about Karazim.
Yes, it's something we've seen this Kwamo combo already into the Karazim in this tournament, right? And I think one thing when their combo is so focused around the Zeratul getting prime and setting himself up, I think Foresight is going to be a talent that I really would like to see him move into. Try and make the Zeratul as his positioning as hyper aware as he possibly can about it, and the entire team be able to work around it. Because even Tychus can return a lot of damage as long as he has vision on the hero, and I think that's going to be really crucial for them because last time we didn't see it, and Zeratul had a literal heyday, it felt like.
I absolutely agree with you. I feel like it's the talent that makes it so much more difficult for Zeratul to just get this setup going. And we saw actually like a lot of games already, especially with like Dignitas, where this was being played. And if you get the combo off properly, the amount of damage that you get out is insane.
Yeah.
Even a Rhaegar with an Earth Shield on 13 has just absolutely no chance to properly negate that damage output. It's just way too fast. The burst is incredible.
Yeah, it's so hard to deal with. Like, I honestly don't think there's very many heroes outside of like a Divine Shield, but again, there's going to be 2 targets, right? So it's not like you can really defend against it that well. So we'll see if Thurna will be able to prime that combo throughout this match here.
I mean, the only point where we really saw Fnatic in the series against Dignitas attempting to deal with it, finally being able to, was when they hit 20 and got a couple of Bolt of the Storms, which isn't even going to be like a thing here. So then finally they could try and jump out of it. For now, though, Sylvanas eating a lot of damage, and that was nearly the first blood against the Jabronis.
Yeah, and the only time that we saw the combo not really work is the post 20 when there's a lot of the Storm Talents coming into play and other things, but then also when Wailing Arrow was able to hit the Zeratul, or Crowd Control went onto the Zeratul, and that's another actual counterplay to the strategy. For instance, if the combo comes out and you hit it only like the Leoric or the Tychus, if Kel'Thas manages to get that Gravity Lapse off during that time, the timing is going to be skewed because you almost never see the ring timed when Void will drop. Actually, it's when the Zeratul will cancel around ring, and so that's actually something that they could do to stop that, but almost no teams do that.
What really scares me here a bit is that the Jabronis have so much like potential. Well, potential they have, but they lose Jaina regardless. Jaina says goodbye, and that might actually not be the only kill. Lane finds himself in trouble too, is barely able to get out as the Stormbolt hits him though, but there's no follow-up. Instead, it's Zelia in the backline who dies. Nice kill here secured by Dickozoy, but now he himself falls on Sylvanas. Rhaegar not able to save her with the heals.
And the whole time we see Tychus up here trying to work onto this. He doesn't do too well without the overkill coming into play and getting value, but for now, he is giving his team a pretty good advantage here. We're going to have to back out, losing vision of the Zeratul.
And we have no foresight for Karazim. He instead goes for the shield and tries to just keep targets alive this way a bit longer. We see Cilium now eating a lot of damage here. The rotation to the top lane has, of course, to happen since there is a Shrine active. But what worries me a little bit for the late game, if the Jabronis ever take a bit of a lead, I feel it's going to be incredibly difficult for EE to come back, because it's not only that Zeratul Jaina setup, it's the Sylvanas value out of Punishers, and just keep in mind what happens when that Punisher jumps in, gets a stun. There's immediately the potential to lock the target down even further and combo it off with burst damage out of Jaina.
They have a very much a snowball-y style composition, right? Like they just hit the void, hit the ring, and then abuse Sylvanas as much as you possibly can here. And a lot of it's going to come down to Excelente denying Shrine control as best they can. We see a lot of damage coming out into the Arthas, though. He's not going to be able to fall down quite yet, as the 1v1 between Sylvan and Leoric happening on the other side. 26 skeletal defenders in favor of Excelente.
That's actually like another question. What do you think about the build that Leoric is currently aiming for? It really feels like he's a bit afraid of that Zeratul at this point. He has the fealty unto death and on one block. But considering that they are running a solo Arthas on the side of the Jabronis, a build with Drain Hope, focusing just on those talents, might have been enough to just force him back so fast in these fights that they have a little bit more wiggle room.
I don't know. It's strange that he shows fear of the Zeratul because he's not the target. The backline all day is going to be who he's looking towards, right? So I find it surprising that it's kind of maybe a fear of his own life. I would like to see more of just how can I make sure that if you kill my backline, I can somehow kind of go blow for blow, you know, 1-for-1 trade in any way, shape, or form. But we'll see if it works out for him here. Zarmany already trying to get the harass. First skeletal defender did go, or excuse me, not skeletal defender, but Punisher did go over to Excelente, but they weren't able to get too much with it. Again, they don't have necessarily the greatest sieging composition.
It was a bit scary for a moment because it was an arcane Punisher, so that did a little bit more work. But in the end, they only take the wall. And we already saw that Sylvanas was attempting to get some counter value in the middle. Leoric rotated over, tried to deal with it. Zeratul at the bot lane with some EXP for himself now too, as both Zarmany actually really deep, apparently going for that fountain here, making sure that if there's another shrine at the top lane, there's no tap available for the Jabronis.
Yeah, one thing from the Jabronis already that they decided to capture the Shaman camp in the upper half of the map, while we see on the other side, EE is worried more about the mid camp. I think EE has done a far better job in the rotation series because we saw the Punisher shrine spawn in the upper half of the map. We know it's not going to be top next, and during this part of the game, the Shaman camp is always valuable, but it becomes insanely valuable at this point, and because you know it's not going to be top, you can force that split push. I would have liked to see them be a lot more patient when it comes to that rotation.
Especially since there's no global. There's no force that can easily deal with it and then fly into the fight anyways. So you could have gotten real value out of it. The teams are, of course, aiming for level 10 at this point. You are trying to make sure that with the next shrine, you have access to heroic abilities. Doesn't really look like we're going to see a lot of snowballing happening with one team reaching the heroic abilities before the other. Both will be able to rely upon them once the shrine is active. But of course, for now, it's just all about getting a bit of lane push in here and maybe that slight lead.
I really want to make sure that once Jabronis manages to hit level 10, that Excelente makes sure Kel'Thas and Tychus are never together. It is totally okay if one of them gets voided. Hopefully the palm's going to come into play. Something will be able to keep them alive. But if they stack, there's almost no way that both of them survive and have success later into a team fight here.
Positioning against this setup is the most important thing, and for now, of course, we have to watch for that Zeratul and Jaina combo. Void Prison into Ring of Frost. There's also Leoric to consider, who is going to try to especially isolate that Jaina. If he gets the Entomb on point, and then Kel'Thas moves in with the Phoenix and the rest of the damage, the Tychus too on top of it, they can burst her down. For now, though, the palm is there, and again, that setup. Zeratul is going to look for that Void Prison. Is he able to drop it? He's already moving to the side. Zarmany is there, has to Wraith walk out, is slow. We have the healing totem being placed down. Crosby looking for an opening to drop that Blizzard again, as the teams are trying to get those stacks for Punisher number 2.
And he hasn't even used the Void, but he's zoning the entire team. There it goes, the two-man Void, the ring's coming out. It actually a little bit off, but he's going to one-shot here. Kel'Thas already falling down into this team fight. Pekete trying to get the retreat. Ancestral hits Danatan, and now they have the upper hand in this fight, Kaldor.
Take a Zoe and Crosby, both low dread, and of course, once again, Zeratul looking for a target. Jumping in, jumping out the entire time, relying on his level 4 talent here. Bobble Blades, there comes the bomb on Leoric, he's still alive. Bobbsio is trying to jump in as well. They have 33 of those minions already. Can they maybe even secure that Punisher? They're so low right now, and they actually kill Rhaegar. They survive somehow. The Mortar Punisher is still taken by the Jabronis. Sylvanas is alive. It's a 4 versus 5 for a bit longer though.
Yeah, and the leap is going to be procced pretty soon here. All those targets are a little bit too low health, though, to be able to take it for free here. They move in. All right, they baited onto the Kel'Thas. Smart choice there, but look, he gets the Thermal does get the bomb. awesome. A very
What a play. Eternal again on the Zeratul. It is a hero where he can really shine. He was waiting for that situation.
Because they were all so low health, right? That he knew somebody's got to wear this, and the minute it happens, he ends up getting the kill. Leoric now falling down as well, and it seems like this game, Jabronis grabbing it by the horns.
Eternal, what a play. He waits for the Punisher to jump in. He knows there's nearly only squishies around. Muradin was already low. He sees that, Kel'Thas moves to the top and he says like, well, I got this. Goes in, jumps out, gets the kill, secures it. Sylvanas in the meantime still disabling the structures. Mid-fort falls, and all of a sudden, they are more than a level ahead in the game.
I mean, it's a snowball composition, and so far it's working out. They've built themselves quite the base for their snowman. But for now, you just see a little bit of a response of just counter pressure as best they can and getting any threat anywhere on the map. And it gets worse by the fact that Excelente doesn't have necessarily the greatest. I guess they do have decent wave clear in itself, but they're going to be moving as 5-man rotations now. So they're going to be painting it blue and just knowing where Excelente is at almost all points of this game.
Now, there's of course one thing that we still have to mention. If the combo hits, and the last time it blew up Kel'Thas immediately, but if the palm lands and you save the target, then 2 big cooldowns are wasted by the Jabronis. And that would be an excellent trade, of course, for EE. And they are going to look for exactly this situation. But now they're still behind in talents. We have 13 already on the board on the side of the Jabronis. They have now the Earth Shield as well. They have even more mobility on Eternal Zeratul thanks to the wormhole that he now has access to. And they are going to abuse this as much as they can. They take the camps on the map, as you said, Dread, and they will have a big momentum going for them.
Yeah, and it felt like the last time the Void came out, it didn't even necessarily hit prime targets, and they were still very successful with it. We'll see if Grand Paquete is going to be able to somehow keep anybody alive through that combo. Just even the palm wasn't even procced in the last one here. And I'm trying to find right now, like my thought process is, how do we find a solution for this situation? We've seen it once before. It almost looked unstoppable. We see it come through again, once again in these drafts. And I'm trying to think like, well, what if he decides to get cleanse at his 16 on Karazim, right? Will that be able to help in some way, shape, or form? Remove the CC that comes out. It won't stop the damage so much. But then I feel like the damage is going to be so high without Circle of Life, they aren't going to be able to sustain through. It's just, right now, it's all about positioning, and
I really
oh my gosh, they're so stacked. I'm so afraid right now. I'm sorry, that was almost a 4-man void.
I really think it's going to have to be positioning plus palm.
Yeah.
Hit the perfect palm here, get those cooldowns faded out. And yeah, you're right, there's like always these potential stacks, and they're trying to avoid it, but at the same time, how do you move onto the shrine if you don't use this? This is a really tricky one. At this point, we're having Zeratul just waiting, and he's looking for a chance, but Jaina is way far out, getting pushed back at this point. They actually buy themselves a lot of space here.
Yeah, one thing I was confused about a bit as well, the Leoric pickup here specifically, is a character who usually leads his team into a funnel when he's moving forward with that drain, right? You see everybody will follow up behind him, and it's something that I think Eternal is going to be able to abuse thoroughly here. He's getting a bit of harass, still yet to use the combo, but I feel like Leoric's playstyle is watch me drain, move up, gain an upper hand, and as his team funnels in, I feel like there's going to be a great counter response from Jabronis.
Yeah, we're still, there's the Stormbolt against Dikazoi, not followed up yet, though. Keep also that in 2 in mind. Maybe he gets a lock against Jaina and they can take her down. Again, Eternal. And Eternal is really playing a tough line here. He jumps in, gets a bit of damage in, moves out immediately. Drill is on the ground. Blizzard cooldown on the other hand already used. We're seeing the Wraith walk as Zarmany has to retreat. They're all very low, but they have a well. And the Jabronis have not, so at least they have the potential to sustain this a bit longer thanks to the tap.
Eternal is single-handedly just like winning this game already without even dropping the Void. He's zoning people so much, and Dikazoi actually getting caught out a little bit here. Danatan as well getting body blocked with the 3-man
my
Void.
God!
It's gonna come in, and
The
that's
ring!
the ring!
And they go immediately for Zelia again. There's the bomb. It doesn't even trigger. Karazim is about to fall, and oh my God, they go for Zelia. Linked, he wants him. The wolf is hungry. He takes him down. The double kill, but Sylvanas is falling as a response, and now they are focusing on Jaina. They kill against Tigers. First of all, 4 heroes already dead. It's the solo Mopsio show. He's only trying to escape at this point. And he's going to fall as well. With Eternal and the rest of the team just chasing him down, there's no way he's going to get out of this alive.
I think it's only fitting that the Mopsio is the last one to die here, when it typically seems like it's been him to die first. When they pick the Wombo,
Shots
everybody
fired.
Mopsio
Wow.
survives.
Wow, Dread, really?
I'm just saying, it's been pretty apparent that his positioning has got him in trouble at times, but now Jabronis seem to just be punishing everybody but him, and even being patient enough not to proc the Divine Palm.
Exactly. It seems symptomatical that even when you get the palm and it doesn't proc.
You're just like, it doesn't matter. And
it really looked like the Rose was just looking at it. It's like, guys, who wants to kill him? And Rhaegar's like, please, please, let it be me, let it be me. let me help, let me do some damage. And he moves in, takes him down, and in the meantime, the rest of the team just gets destroyed.
And I mean, I can't help but feel, again, we saw that the posturing for so long. Zeratul, everybody, oh man, great gravity laps actually. He will be able to get cleansed out there. Link doing a very good job making sure Eternal doesn't fall. But I can't help but feel like his posturing made Excelente so panicked for so long.
Yeah.
Again, I wish there was a foresight so somebody could threaten that damage. There's so much posturing, you could get value out of that talent here.
You know, he was so patient with the Void Prison. A lot of Zeratuls would have looked for that immediately. Jump in, then maybe Jaina isn't even close enough, and she's like, dude, why just don't you wait for me to get in there? But he just pokes the entire time. He gets so much value without of the Void Prison. And you're so right. The panic moment for EE as they say, guys, we need to do something. They move in, and that's the moment when he drops it, where there are 3 heroes stacked up. Now they're going in for the keep. Sylvanas with all the value here, and they are pushing. They have the 60 talent.
They have combo. They
have so much potential, and they have the cooldowns ready again.
Yeah, they have it. They're patiently waiting, and you see Eternal looking for that moment, going in, getting harassed. That was a big group. Decide to be a little bit more patient, waited out here, and I mean reasonably so, considering the fact he's about to secure a 2-level lead here with 18. First keep now falling for Jabronis. They are just absolutely dominating this match.
Do you see how scared Grand Paquete is to dash in and heal them? Every single time he dashes in, he knows that this situation is when the Void Prison could hit because they clump up. So he dashes in, he heals, and immediately he runs away because he's trying to just like make sure that Zeratul doesn't get them all. It's so tricky for him to play this now.
Yeah, and then Entomb coming into play there. Danatan is on the retreat. Zarmady looks like he's going in. Void as the response. Ring only gonna hit 2.
Yeah, but they're going for Muradin for now, and they're attempting to take him down, but Eternal moves away. Jaina's in trouble. Jaina is dead, actually. 16 versus 16 talents. They go for Linked. He's not going to be taken down. A keep already lost, though. That's a nice little win for EE here, but it's definitely not enough to start the comeback. But it could be at least a moment where they are able to finally maybe have a little bit more of an impact in this game.
Yeah, and they're deciding to move towards pushing on mid, trying to open up something somewhere onto the map. They need it as fast as possible. Getting as many forts here as they possibly can is an ideal. The fact that Leoric's not with them, though, is a very risky choice as we see them almost getting punished. That's going to be a 3-man Howling Blast. Nobody to get the follow-up for them quite yet. But already, yes, you got the man advantage, but Jaina's only got 18 seconds remaining. Getting a camp on mid is not what I would call a winning trade.
Not really.
In this situation.
They haven't gotten a fort yet.
Exactly. The fact that Leoric was soaking on bottom shows they're more worried about the race to 20. I don't know how to break this to you, but you're not going to make that at any point. Try and open the map, try and take a fight somewhere, but I feel like that split soak was an overly optimistic approach to this game.
They're attempting to get the camps right now, which is at least something, but to the top lane, we already see Link just guarding one of the camps and they're going to time this again. They're going to wait for the next try, and they're going to time this, and they could actually get a ton of value out of this one now. At the bot lane, there's also a bit of pressure happening. Here we have it. Rhaegar starts moving in, he goes for it, and they are close to 20. This is and they have the setup ready again. 8 seconds until we see the Void Prison pick into play.
Every single rotation, it seems that they have it available, and they are so close to 20 here. Excelente needs to make sure they get on the shrine as fast as possible. You know Jabronis wants to wait to 20. Don't be patient. Force them to rotate to the shrine. Try and take that fight as best you can. But if they hesitate at all, it really gives a lot of breathing room to Jabronis that they just can't give up anymore, as they're now half a level away from 20. You see them get on it. I love this choice. They need to make something happen here.
And the Jabronis aren't even scared. They have Zeratul at the bot lane. They have the camp pushing up at the top. They're not even trying to go for it. They're saying, why would we? We are so close to 20. What's the worst case scenario here? You get a Punisher. What are you going to do with it? We still have a fort in the mid lane. Have fun going through that, the keep, and then go for core. We have level 20. We can fight you even with a Punisher. We move past it and jump you.
It is an option that they have here. I agree that it is a safe choice overall, but again, it's not necessarily, it's one of the riskiest fights they can possibly get at this point. They aren't even 20 yet. Trying to get the force trickle down XP might be enough as they secure what is going to be the Punisher. There's the 20 here for them, but they'll back out and worry about the Shaman camp that wasn't worked on.
And there is. And they get the Auric now. Man. That's a great kill. That Punisher is not going to do a thing.
That was a 4-man rotation for 2 catapults that were going to die. That was not an ideal situation again.
This Punisher is not even going to get a fort.
It's because they all committed to what was a Shaman camp and 2 catapults there. I understand maybe trying to sacrifice the Leoric and maybe get somebody back here, but again, when you are this far behind, you can't play the passive game and the patient game. It is the worst case scenario because it almost never is going to get better.
I mean, they bought themselves one thing. They bought time. They have the
Yes.
time to soak for 20. They did not lose the objective. Therefore, they didn't lose another keep or potentially the game. They have now time to soak for 20, and it feels like that's what they were trying to go for, and they are trying to fight 20 versus 20 talents and say, like, this is the moment where we can win this.
I would like to see, because 20 is going to be so important for them, and I'm not even convinced that they're actually truly going to get it. Send Leoric to the bottom half and just soak out of Fog of War. If he gets caught, he gets caught. He'll be back in time. But right now, like, again, you bought a little bit of time, but realistically, your opponents are just smashing into you with the Sylvanas here, and you can't split anybody get the soak in the side lanes because they're all terrified that a Thorn is going to show up. If they group as a 5-man for soak, they're terrified that they're stacked and they're going to get comboed again.
And the Jabronis are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They have the level 20 advantage, and they are saying, we are going to keep the pressure on. We're going to siege up. We're going to take these walls down. And if we get another Punisher, then this game is over. So they're going to the bot lane. They do the exact same thing. They know there's an entire level where they have the Storm talent advantage. And EE is just scrambling on the map, trying to get experience somewhere.
Yeah, they're doing their best here, and now Camp's going to be taken as well here for Jabronis, just trying to get as much pressure as possible. Help manipulate the map. Not only will it provide split push pressure if the objective actually spawns, but then also a lot of it comes down to just vision control, man. The fact that they know every single rotation Excelente is going to be making here is terrifying. And even worse, they're deciding to time it again with a map objective, not letting up at almost any point here for Jabronis.
And the thing is, without them knowing where Jabronis are, EE has to assume that there's a trap somewhere. So they're just like moving out a tiny little bit before they immediately head back, because they're saying, guys, if we get jumped now and lose the hero, then we're in trouble. Perfect timing here, by the way.
And they're going to wait as late as possible here, get it clear on the mid. Now that we'll be threatening the keep after the next 2 waves, which is exactly what they want. That is the main contested point here when it comes to the top shrine.
Okay, double camp in the mid lane. They're going to deep push it. We're going to see level 20. This is the moment that EE were waiting for. They sacrificed a lot to get to this point. They have 1 Ball of the Storm right now. Actually, forget that. They don't. We have that only on Sylvanas. We are seeing at this point, of course, the Peaceful Repose. We have also the Rebirth on the Phoenix.
I'm amazed at
no
that.
Master of Flames, actually. And this is the moment that they were fighting for. They gave up a lot for this. They have to make it count, but Mopsio is already incredibly low even before the fight even started.
And they're so stacked, looking for the Karzim to get the heal. Zarmony as well, taking insane amount of poke here, as Eternal is probably just going to sit here patiently and watch everybody panic. It's a man who wants to watch the world burn, it feels like right now, looking for that stack wherever he possibly can.
Eternal with a poke the entire time. The drill is on the ground. They go for HotS. They might get the kill. No, they don't. The Ancestral is through, and it's a double kill. The front line is gone, and that has to be game. There comes the Void Prisoner. Jaina is in the prison, though, so we have Tikuzo in a bit of trouble at the backline, but it's still a 5 versus 3, and that doesn't bode well for them. Here comes the kill against Tychus. The damage is slowly but steadily evaporated. Down goes Kalthus. It's gonna be the end of Grand Paquette. 1 kill, the one on Rhaegar, but this is gonna be game.
Jabronis turning it around, not even needing the Void Prison Ring of Frost combo, convincingly winning that team fight 5-for-1, and is going to even up this series, taking it to game number 3, showing that they have not given up. They are going to try take it on to the next day. This is a very young team versus a team that I think a lot of people didn't think the series would be very close.
Yeah.
And right now, again, they're just showing that they are never giving up here. A very impressive showing.
GG, and this is it. Infernal Shrines ends in favor of the Jabronis. They tied the series up. They forced game number 3. Not even close. 15 kills against 6. Fantastic play by them. Dominant performance. And we see, again, a third map between these 2 teams.
I'm just saying, if I see that combo again, I want Foresight and Storm Shield. Those are the 2 things I'm amazed that haven't been taken in both the times that we've seen the combo. It's the exact same 4 and 20.
Yeah. Vision against Zeratul would allow you to just put some damage on him before he can jump in. Right now, it really felt like Eternal could do whatever he wanted in this game. He can jump the backline, he can jump out. He's like sitting there, and he's putting free damage on the backline whenever he pleases to.
I honestly felt like he did more by just being stealth and scaring people than he did with the Void itself. Honestly, the amount of free harass they were able to get onto the front line, because again, everybody's like, where's the Zeratul, where's the Zeratul? And I mean, it was really well done from him all around.
Fantastic play by them, but we are of course going to go into a third map in just a bit. First of all, we're going to hear from our analyst panel what they have to say about map number 2.
All right, there couldn't be a series between the Jabronis and E without going into a third game, right, guys?
Put on a show, right?
Yeah, they got to put up a show for sure. And yesterday we saw Dignitas showing how it's done. I mean, they executed the Zeratul and the Jaina perfectly. And let's be honest, the Jabronis, basically second to none, just imitated it flawlessly.
Well,
there were a few that
second
were
to
maybe
one maybe, but like it was very close. Like it's true. Dignitas yesterday they hit like 9 out of 10 Ring of Frost into Void Prison combinations. Always going for about 2 targets. Not the old times like 2 years ago when you try to get that 5-man Void Prison.
Yeah.
No, but it was good enough. The only time
The last
that it
one
really
was-
failed here is the last one.
The last one, the VP came out. It's like, I'm going to use it anyways. I didn't hit anybody, but it looked cool.
No, but I mean, the Jabronis, they definitely strike back, and they showed us how it's done. And they're once again maybe riding that wave of momentum that made them so strong in the previous series as well, guys. Do you think that EE is struggling mentally right now, Grubby?
I don't think so in particular. We did see a lot of focus fire on Arthas.
Yeah.
It's okay for Leoric to do that, just to pressure him. We saw a lot of Ancestral Healings going to Arthas. It makes sense. He's the solo frontliner, and Zeratul is not really showing himself. But again, to use that much against the Warrior can be a little bit going for what's obvious in front of you and not really considering the Zeratul in your back. So I'd like to see pressure on Arthas, but maybe half as much pressure as they are doing, just to force him to use his survivables, but then hold a few things for Zera.
Yeah, it almost seemed like they were so scared of the Zeratul that they're like, we're just going to attack what we can see directly while we try to keep an eye on our flanks, because you never knew when that Zeratul was going to be able to come out, and they always had it in the back of their mind.
And I think one of the meanest moments in that game was when the Punisher actually was taken by Kalthas, or baited by Kalthas, and Zeratul just sneaking around and finishing off poor KT. I mean, Zeratul is such a menace to deal with. It's really hard to detect him and keep him in check all the time.
It looked like a brilliant pick. We were wondering, are they going to go Thrall? Are they going to go Sonya? Are they going to do something to solidify that front line? They went something entirely. They're like, we're just going to go with somebody who doesn't really fit anywhere in the front or the back. He's actually going to get on the other side of the team.
Absolutely.
And do work, and he just did that.
I've been enjoying the drafting a lot from the Jabronis, as well as that last mercenary timing with the 2 Khazra camp in the mid, buying them enough time that they knew they would be in a better position and cause panic for EE, because that was where their keep was down. So they were going to be going in maybe a little bit panicked into that last team fight.
They were on a timer at that point, but guys, game number 3, Cursed Hollow.
Bring it on.
Take Falstad off the board.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be surprising if Tyrael followed suit here. I mean, you definitely don't want to risk anything. I think both teams want to play their most comfortable composition possible. And yep, Tyrael being banned again.
So Zagara, maybe? Yeah.
Yep. It's a good pick.
They've been following a lot of this, but Zagara will be a good solo laner for the team, and they can try to get early pressure in the lane where their safe boss will be, so that later on they can continue to get those and push further and further in, opening up a way for them to win the game.
So maybe Muradin Greymane next for EE. If we're falling in familiar patterns and relying on fundamentals to get through, that will be fitting the pattern of what they've shown so far, either Li Ming Mura or Greymane Mura.
Yeah, Kalthas, of course, also available. We saw it last game.
Well, they definitely had a high priority on the Assassin last game. I think
there's the Greymane, right?
I think it was going to be between Greymane or Li Ming, especially like Grubby just said. But now on the side of Jabronis, do they continue to try the Arthas theme? That seems like
They love their Arthas.
Tan and his Arthas.
I mean, they made it work in both double warrior comms, single warrior comms, you name it, they've got it. So it wouldn't actually surprise me at all to see it once again.
This is a bit of a steal, because it was Li Ming and Greymane the last time these two played against each other, picked up by EE on Cursed Hollow. So they took Muradin, and it was Muradin Arthas that the Jabronis grabbed. But Arthas, they'll still get him. Not sure if they'll get another warrior at this point or want to switch it up themselves.
If they go Li Ming, I have to assure you, we do not have the draft lying in front of us here. We're just drawing on history here between these two teams.
So guys,
Tychus.
Yeah, if you play against the Zagara, how do you really keep her in check? Is there a way? Which hero would you let lane against her, or do you just send multiple heroes to gank her early on?
Well, melee assassins do fairly well against Zagara. They don't like 100% counter her, but they do form a threat. In terms of laning, it's nice if you have heroes who have an easy way of clearing creep. Without costing too much mana. For example, when Greymane is in Worgen form, he can Q every 3 seconds to clear a creep tumor, and that's pretty okay. What you don't want is to have a character like, for example, Thrall, who, well, Thrall's okay against Zagara, but he doesn't clear creep well. You need a few that can do it, because he can only do it with Feral Spirit, so it's something to keep in mind.
Is also very good. I mean, uses E and clear all the creep threat, but unfortunately it's on the side of Jabronis.
Murky, Chen, the great at clearing creep, Illidan.
A couple of weeks ago, Chen would have been a legitimate alternative here, I feel.
We don't see him much because he really picks on squishies, and we see a lot of double warrior comps.
Right.
EE have shown that they will be grabbing their support in the next round, wanting to lock out the Jabronis slightly in the pool. We have seen supports be not, like, Brightwings occasionally come in, but then otherwise it's Karazim and Rhaegar. I think one Uther, one or two, just a few for sure.
Right, it's a very tense moment. I mean, both teams don't want to lose here, that's for sure, because it's that last chance to advance to the playoffs.
No, it's true though, like between these two, it has been Karazim, Rhaegar every single time without a single ban against anything else. They ban Karazim, they take Rhaegar. It's a very clear show that EE is diverging from the standard for the first time in the 6 games that they are playing against Jabronis.
But by banning out Karazim, you give the Divine Shield over to Jabronis. So if Greymane goes in, now he does have a partner to go in with him, and that's going to be Anubarak. And also like the Anubarak, in case Jabronis decide not to go double warrior and they wanted to pick up somebody like Li Ming, who's still heavily prioritized, I think that lends it back over to Excelente to wrap that up with their draft if they want to.
If they plan to force an Uther and they want to capitalize on that, what are we thinking about here? Could it be like suddenly busting out a Lunara to counter the kind of healing that Uther cannot really provide?
That's a very good point. Sonya being locked in. You can almost...
So yeah, that will be solo warrior Arthas again, Sonya.
I don't think we're going to see Malfurion. I don't think Brightwing can really heal Zagara Tychus at the same time.
We don't have Meride from Korea here, no Morales.
Yeah. Morales would actually not be terrible here, but I don't see anything else than Uther. Let's just say, if it's something else, it's going to be a big surprise.
Yeah. The Brightwing's not terrible, because if Greymane does go in, you simply throw that polymorph on.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, like,
I still would prefer Uther.
There's 4 needy people here. Think of all the Ancestrals that went on Arthas last game. And then you've got Sonya. They all need help.
I love the fact that they wrap that up with Li Ming, though. Because Li Ming takes a lot of different angles on this map because of the terrain. You can play around it. You poke the tributes, and then all of a sudden, Greymane, you hit one orb, and then you hit the magic missile. Any type of combo of those, one or the other, Greymane all of a sudden has a target that's at about 60-50%, and he goes in. And then if Anubarak goes in with him, it's a scary, scary.
It sounds great. I think it is great. I don't see how Brightwing is going to deal with it.
That burst potential is impossible for Brightwing.
I don't see her dealing with it either.
She needs shield dust.
Yes.
They have
and I feel she needs Emerald Wind.
Yeah.
Against the Greymane onslaught, or do you think the additional healing from Blink Heal is going to be needed?
I don't know, like either way she needs shield dust, which means she doesn't have ice block, which means even she is a target. Sorry to cut you off, Gilly. You were saying?
No, I was just saying they have double resets, potentially.
Yeah.
And once they kill someone, if the Jabronis can't maybe do that quickly, then the fights are going to really snowball for EE.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything's on the line here, guys. This is the deciders match, and it's going to be the last game of the series. The loser goes home while the winner advances to the playoffs. So give it up one more time for our casters, Kaldor and Dreadnought.
It's the last map, it is Cursed Hollow, and once again, it is the Jabronis versus Team E. To the left, we have Linked on Brightwing. We're seeing Donatan on Arthas for the Jabronis, Eternal on Sonya this time, Crosby on Zagara, and Dikazoy on Tychus.
And for Excelente, we are going to have Cilium on the Greymane, Mopsio on the Muradin once more, Zalia on Li Ming, Grand Piquete playing the Rhaegar, and Zarmany on Anubarak.
And Kendrick couldn't have been more right. There's a lot on the line here, and it's not only getting out of the group, there's also Mopsio's hair on the line. He made a commitment, if they don't get out of the group stage, he is gonna get his head shaved here at the event, and he didn't really think that could happen, but right now there's actually a chance that the Jabronis are gonna take this.
For the hair here, Mopsio. Yeah, I've never heard greater motivation to get out of groups other than this moment. I believe, if I had any doubts in him before, I feel like he's going to hit his final form for the sake of his own hair.
He is going to go really deep this time. You mean, if Voodoo feel he's going to be a little bit more cautious with his positioning?
I think he might need to be a little bit more passive, as we see him already
wearing those sweet, sweet banelings there and try and avoid any bonus damage, because the level 1 volatile acid is going to be picked up there for the Zac.
Yeah, and besides that, we also have in this case a double block taken for Sonya and also for Arthurs. We have the hyper shift on the side of Brightwing. It is definitely going to be a really tricky game here, and it's interesting to see that Anubarak, for example, on level 1 already went into the range on the Impale. So already going for a few range talents. If you go Under King as well, you have a really cool tool here to interrupt tributes, 2 of them actually, and you can engage from a very far distance.
Yeah, that's a very unique choice, something I haven't seen, I don't think, almost very rarely here when it comes to the Anubarak play. Mopsio in the 2v1 where we see the 3-man push on the opposite side, so both teams pretty much just trading structures here, realizing they didn't have ideal lane matchup, so they're just going to get a swap.
Bed of Barbs, of course, has now become a really nice option for Anubarak. We've seen that even without that level 1 talent, but that would definitely be a nice synergy on it. For now, bot lane is being attacked. We've been talking about the top lane as well. A lot of people, as you can see here with the statistics, believe that EE is going to take this, but the Jabronis look very strong on that last map.
Yeah, and this Rhaegar is going to be able to possibly confirm the kill. Mopsio taking a lot of damage, though. He will end up falling here, should be, and even trade the polymorph will be able to be enough, but Zillium will confirm the kill here and go 1-for-1 in this trade, but that committed a lot of resources there from Excelente just to be able to get that, so let's see if they're going to be able to get anything else here.
Yeah, and thanks to Zillium for that. That looked for a long time as if they wouldn't even get a kill, and DJ just comes in to confirm it, but that's not really what EE was really thinking there at the bot lane. They thought they could get an easy kill there. All of a sudden, all that damage that Tychus returns puts Mopsio into a really awkward spot. He falls, but at least they get the counter kill. So now it's still very even in experience, and we are turning towards the Siege Giant camps as we have Greymane and Rhaegar going straight for the camp to the right side to time it with the tribute.
Yeah, we see the counter response here for Jabronis as well. So both teams are getting it a bit late, but the tribute is yet to spawn either, so they're going to be in fine position here. We'll see if one gains the upper hand here when it comes to the rotations. Both of them moving into the lane that has already lost the front wall, so it's not like either team has the advantage quite yet, as it looks like an aggressive rotation here onto the Brightwing.
Yeah, Brightwing stunned. They go for the damage output, but Linked retreats behind the wall. Tribute spawning at the bot lane right now, so in this case we're going to see a bit more value out of the Siege Giant camp up to the top, where we already have a pretty aggressive position for the Jabronis with Donatan, Eternal, and Crosby.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just going to see Excelente getting this tribute here for free, just because so many resources from Jabronis committed to that front wall on the upper half of the map. I don't know how much I appreciate that trade coming out from them. Both these teams just seem to not really want to even skirmish, just kind of mirror one another, and just luckily the tribute was on bottom there for Excelente.
Also, we have Under King now taken for Zombies, so as expected after his level 1 choice with the extended spines, we actually have him now also with range on his Burrow charge. In this case, the level 7 talents, they hit a little bit faster, and I mean, we already see, of course, Limin going straight into the Calamity. We also have that cooldown reduction for Muradin, for Mopsio. It's not really anything that we are too shocked about. Pretty standard talents for them now going into this game. There's a lot on the line. They don't really experiment too much here with the talents.
Yeah, I definitely would not be trying to take any risky talents here. In this matchup here, if I was either one of these teams, Tournament Life is going to be on the line. Night Camp will be picked up for Excelente, going to get a bit of pressure out there. But again, Zagara with that volatile acid, it's going to be a pretty easy clear for her as long as she saves up those banelings. So for now, I don't feel like it's going to be too hard for them to be able to deal with it, because their wave clear is just so good.
A good example, by the way, when we're talking about the talents, would be the level 7 on Greymane. He does not go into the Wizened Duelist, which we actually see in other games quite a bit. But the Quicksilver bullets with the potential synergy with the Hunter's Blunderbuss on level 20, it's just too a very reliable and stable talent. It gives you so much value. They don't want to risk anything here, and it's definitely the better choice in this case. Also for the poke battles, of course, and that is exactly what's happening at the top as we are seeing tribute number 2 being fought about.
That's going to be, oh my gosh, I'm surprised they didn't move for a huge flank there, Caller. That was very close to being ugly for Excelente.
Yeah, they could have been a huge Howling Blast in this case. They're starting to move in already, but there comes that jump on Anubarak, and they're going for the backline. They take down Tychus, and they eliminate Brightwing. Now it's a 5 versus 3. They're definitely going to secure this tribute, but they might even get another kill. They go for Eternal, and Mopsio really wants it, and he takes down Sonya. Great kill by them. It's a triple. Well done here, and they have tribute number 2.
Yeah, and just the positioning there coming out from the Arthas by setting in that upper shrub, they just had pretty much ignored him, was able to move past. Now making a bold move by starting what is going to be the boss here for them, but I mean, with that many kills, nobody's going to be able to stop it. It won't gain too much value, though. It's 5 minutes in. The only advantage is that the fact that the gate's going to be down up there, that it will get a little bit of threat here. But for now, this boss shouldn't be too big of a play because Tribute's going to spawn in quite a bit. They have enough time to get a free clear.
Very late start on the boss at the bot lane, though, with an immediate rotation that could end up being a lot of trouble for them. And Nubarak is on the way. Doesn't really feel like he's going to be there in time. The question is he going to commit to it? He sees what's happening. The rest of the team is there.
Almost 10.
And he actually stalls it out with another quick stun. They can take this. Yes, they will. They will just steal the boss away. A massive mistake by the Jabronis. They completely misjudged the timing.
Yeah, they very much mistimed that. And now it's going to be a dream situation here as they have a boss threatening on the upper half of the map. One on bottom as well. 10 advantage and what's going to be a curse here for Excelente. Oh man, that boss start, and by the fact that they committed so heavily, Mobsu actually getting aggressive. Are they going to be able to get the combo? Minions about to spawn to be able to block. And right now, he's going to be able to survive this for now.
Yeah, but with them already pressuring this, the boss, of course, gets even more value. It's level 11. There's the curse on top of it, too. The boss nearly on full HP. We are 6.5 minutes in the game chat, and they are moving for keep.
And I think they're going to be able to get it here. As long as there's not a huge team fight that happens against them again, they're going to have to move past the boss if they want that to be an option here. As they move in, that's going to be a two-man mod. They are going to be able to move past here, so we'll see if they're going to have any success, Caldor.
They're trying to move in for it right now. Mobstio's on point with this place again. Here comes the stun from Zarmany with the Zanubarak. They're moving away. The boss is already on the keep. He's going to get it eventually. The question is just how many of these heroes are going to fall on the side of Team E, and it looks like none of them is going to die there. The drill doing a bit of damage against the boss. The boss just continuing to slaughter that keep. Can they take it down before it happens? They might even be able to save it.
I think they'll be able to save it here. Oh, so close there. But there's already so much gained here on the side of Excelente that I just don't even know if they have much of an option here. They didn't have any tribute advantage. They're already down in level in terms of experience. Bottom keep already dead. All three forts dead as well. And that means a lot more than just that experience, right? Not having just the talent here advantage over your opponents, but largely because the bosses are going to be down for so long, Curse is really the only main map objective to be worried about. But because you have no forts up, the vision control here for Excelente is huge. They're going to constantly be able to know where Jabronis is at almost all points.
Vision control, the opportunity to tap before you move straight to one of the tribute fights. There's just a lot of momentum going for EE right now. They find themselves in a fantastic spot here, and that early level 13 talent, of course, for the next tribute fight is also going to give them an advantage once that they get it.
And right now, if I am Excelente, I think the best way to maximize their advantage now is they're going to hit a 13 spike. Knights will be threatening through mid and try and make value out of the Giants on bottoms. That next tribute, you're going to have a 13 tier advantage. I'd like to see them get that keep as quick as possible. It is something that they need to make sure they are patient with. They can't just overly force, but this is a situation where a lot of teams don't abuse even this minor lead, but I would like to see them do it because a keep is definitely a winning trade, even if you go one person for a keep.
They're already at it. They get level 30 now with this wave, or at least they should. All of them are at the bot lane. They're waiting for their chance. Sonya is all the way at the top, trying to get 13 for them as well. Here comes the advantage. It is, of course, the better box, as expected for Zarmany. That is already a huge talent here to control these fights even more, and they are going to move in for the keep, and they're going to get it. No questions asked. This is it. Keep is down 8.5 minutes in.
That was perfect amount of pressure applied there. Now stacking the double knights in the mid lane will lead to a lot of structure damage on mid as well. This is just worst case. Excelente is just getting such great rotations here over Jabronis. We still see Sonya threatening in the upper half of the map, but even her, she's not doing too much compared to what Excelente is doing here. They are just absolutely controlling every ounce of this game.
The Jabronis are also a very young team, of course, forming after DreamHack Valencia. Communication and coordination might not be on point just yet for them, but they're already threatening, of course, established teams here. They are in this match, which could lead to them advancing out of the group, even though EE is currently the team that is really calling the shots here. But so far, a very impressive performance by the Jabronis. ExcelenteEleccion, on the other hand, they are the ones who are getting closer and closer to make it out of the group together with the Misfits.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to pick the tribute up for free again because of how much lane control they've had onto the map. For now, it's going to be the name, or it's going to be the story of tributes and who's going to be able to control them. Bosses are spawning relatively soon, 36 seconds for the upper half here for Excelente's side, and a minute now for Jabronis. That is something we need to be keeping track of, especially when we get closer there to what is the third tribute for the Curse.
Yeah. Of course, with them, them moving through the bot lane to get the keep and ignoring Sonya at the top lane. Sonya got a lot of experience, and that brought them a lot closer now. They have level 14 for both sides. That was something that they had to give up here a bit, but just the structural advantage on the map is fantastic now for EE. They're looking for another potential kill, and they have in this game a 4 versus 1 kill score already as is, and they are looking for actually an opportunity to maybe jump that backline once again.
This is the fight that really Jabronis kind of wants. Excelente maybe biting off a little bit more than they need. Link taking a large amount of damage. I think their team fight is going to excel in this situation, but Eternal's already popped a Wrath if they can wait that out. But Mopsio looks like he's going to be taking a bit of damage as he tries to retreat. They all question what they want to do. The posturing, but there goes the burrow.
Great barrow charge into the backline. The more against 2 on the other hand. Zombies is all of a sudden split from the rest of the team. The Howling Blast by Danatan comes down. Doesn't it properly, though. They're trying to go for Eternal. Eternal still surviving, but for how much longer? They're going in, they're trying to take it down. The resets are starting. It's a kill, a double kill as Brightwing falls. They're jumping in again. Zomani dies on his Anuba Rock, but they take down Tychus, they take down Arthas, and once more they are just going through the entire Jabronis team. Zagara, the only survivor, and the perfect timing. The boss is up again, and they immediately claim it.
Yeah, they're going to be able to move in the boss. Honestly, Crosby really doesn't have anything to do. He is looking to get that scout. The fact that he isn't worried about that top tribute, I feel like is a very big misplay here. What that's going to lead to is a situation where now with this boss capture, it's going to go to core. It's not going to get any value. It's going to be a free clear. They're going to pick up this tribute. Now having 2 out of the 3, they can time that with their boss play next. I really feel like denying that, getting some breathing room, Jabronis really need that wherever they can get it.
The big question, why did Crosby actually not go for that tribute? Do you feel he was afraid that there was a trap up at the top? Because he couldn't really hope to get this boss.
It's the same reason BKB went to that boss on towers. Panic. That is the only answer for that decision. What were you going to gain? At most, it's a pick onto somebody who maybe gets a little bit too low. Yep. Again, with the support alive, how do you ever bank on that? It's far too risky. If there was no support, no self-sustain, I'd say maybe, because everybody was 25%. Yep. But Rhaegar is still alive. How can you expect that he just doesn't heal?
And worst case scenario is you die, and all of a sudden it's another staggered death, and you bring your team into a 5 versus 4 situation. This way now, though, both of the bosses are taken by EE. We see them on 16. They take the tribute, and they don't force anything here just yet. They know this game is going in their favor. Why risk it?
Yeah, it's just right now they have complete control in every way, shape, and form here. Tribute will be spawning relatively soon. They are posturing on the upper half with their boss. 16 tier has been a pick for Jabronis. They want to fight away from the boss again. I would have liked to see a bit more patience on that boss cap specifically, because they have the opportunity to threaten a cursed boss style play and it gets so much value, but it looks like they're going to move in for the fight.
16 versus 16, and the fight can happen now. Mopsio jumps out. Zarmany can do that too with his burrow charge. Already the drill is about to be taken out. That's 1 heroic ability down the drain. There's another 90 seconds until this one is back. The boss is on the way towards the keep, and EE is looking for an opportunity to take someone down. They're jumping in again as the Maw is hitting too. In this case, Zarmany actually has to be healed, but the Ancestral hits too late, and Uberak is down. It's a 5 versus 4. Maybe the chance for the Jabronis to take it, and Celium just barely getting out of there, mounts up and runs away. They only lose Zarmany, but they could have gotten so much more.
Yeah, they could have gained a bit more there, and again, it's a situation where taking the fight away from the boss works in the side of Jabronis. They get the pick here. They will be able to get a tribute. But this was kind of the situation I was talking about with Excelente, that they have the opportunity to wait this out, and they could have been threatening, all right, well, if you get that, we're going to move towards your keep in the upper half. Getting Hasteful in a double boss play is a common thing for teams to do. I just don't know if I feel like it's the most optimal when considering the split push potential they could have. Like, for instance, in game number 1, Inferno, like, we saw so much timing, right? I think that's even more important in Curses sometimes.
They got a bit split at that move to the top because they wanted to go for the vision here, and Nubarak was in trouble when that Maw was hit. And Crosby actually did a really good job with this Maw so far. Every single time he at least hits 2, he usually tries to isolate the healer, which is actually very smart here. The Ancestral comes through a little bit too late, and therefore they lose 1 hero immediately right off the bat. Brightwing is trying to just get more experience at the top, and this is actually a bit of their saving grace, that they always were able to just split a hero off from the rest of the team, soak the experience, not losing too much just yet. But when we look at the structures on the map, they find themselves, of course, so much behind. They need to win a team fight big in order to really make a comeback.
Yeah, they really do need to be successful, or either that or timing like 2 picks with a curse would be another situation where they can gain such a large lead. Now, Tribute, which will be curse point here for Excelente, not so much for the Jabronis, as there'll be 2 2 out of the 3 will be spawning here. Down below, early rotation from Jabronis. They do have the upper hand positionally here. I'd like to see them try and abuse that as best as possible. They're doing that through vision. We'll see if they're going to make it happen.
They were all pre-tapping. Celium with a little bit of an ability to get this mana low. We're going for the pre-tap. They're starting to jump in. It gives them a massive edge here in this fight. Already Arthur's going for his own heroic ability. We go for Mopsio. There's the Ancestral. They keep him alive and he jumps in. He has, of course, the stun on his Dwarf Toss. Using that, the more on the back line, hitting only Greymane this time. Eternal is trying to get some value here with his Wrath of Berserk, but not doing too much just yet. Once again, Brightwing jumping in, but the position is slowly and steadily in favor of EE, but they lose the Nubarak again. The fight is still continuing. Greymane is also falling. The Jabronis, they turn it around. They go for Mopsio. He jumps, he dies, and that's exactly the situation that we've been talking about. 3 deaths against EE, even with the pre-tap, with the position that they had here, and now it's not a curse against them, but this is the time when the Jabronis are ahead in experience and have control over the map for the first time.
Yeah, that's the first moment that they had an opportunity here, and what I'd like to see them concentrate on is we have a 30-second death timer here, or 20 now, getting closer to. Boss is going to spawn in 17, making sure they get that as fast as they possibly can in the bottom half of the map. Jabronis finally getting a little bit of pressure against their opponents. We know that Attribute is going to be spawning Curse Point for both of them. They have 20 advantage. They're going to essentially force their opponents now to respond to what's the boss, because they don't want to take that fight over the Tribute, and they're finally going to have a Curse, and then the upper boss in the upper half of the map will be spawning relatively soon, and that's where they can make their power play. This is the moment Jabronis can possibly win this game.
The Jabronis fell behind in every single aspect except experience. That's where Brightwing and them rotating heroes away to soak opposite lanes was always helping them out. But they lost structures, they lost the keep, they lost the momentum on the map. They were so far behind. But now with this team fight that we just saw, they are closing in on 20. And this is just perfect for them. This is the Curse Tribute up at the top lane. The boss is moving through the bottom. It couldn't be any better for the Jabronis right now. And of course, they're going to hit 20 with this too.
Yeah, what they want to be looking to do here is open up, not capturing the Curse as long as they possibly can, depending on how long that boss on bottom will be surviving. Nobody's on it yet, so worrying about the boss as fast as possible is their main focus here, because again, you want to maximize the value of time with the Curse, with the boss here. So we see that 4 people have committed to bottom, they have time, and nobody's even going to make the rotation again because of the 20. So complete that, get the Tribute. The minute that happens, I'd like to see them cut below the boss and instantly just open side while worry about the keep, get as much value out of this boss, because this is their win condition right now. 20 advantage, boss, Curse.
This is perfect for them. Bot lane is completely defended. There's the channel. Crossplay goes with Fury of the Storm, his talent on 20. And we are seeing EE still without the 20 talent. Half a level away. Rega rushing through the bot lane. He's trying to take a wave out so that he at least gets something there.
They're trying to open the back door.
Yeah, Muradin is attempting to just make sure that there's no vision so that he can threaten the back door at least. But at this point, yeah, they're actually forcing it. They're forcing a couple of TPs at least to start. Canceling it, I like it. Exactly, they're just keeping a few heroes on the channel and see what happens at the bot lane. Good move on the side of the Jabronis, but let's see how this defense is going to go.
2 kills and this is going to be GG here. Jabronis now at match point as they move aggressively. Mopsio taking a large amount of damage, but so does Danitan here. He's moving in. They need to move to the right-hand side, not giving vision there over to the middle turret. Will they be able to give it? Yes, he voids it just barely there. And they move on. That's the laser.
The boss is so strong still. They go and laying this down. Brightwing eliminated, but they just simply go for the core. And the core is already down to 60%, dropping to 50. The boss is hammering away, and this is going to be game. One way or another, this core is going to fall. They lose 2 more heroes, but who cares? This is it. The Jabronis take it. A 2-1 victory against Team EE, and they advance together with the Misfits out of the group stage towards their semi-final, where they will face Team Dignitas.
Absolutely brilliant play. So calm. It felt like anybody who got an advantage in the series, always patiently waiting it out, waiting for their moment to strike, and was able to turn it. And again, it is all about that boss at a keep. It seems to change games left and right here.
Were behind for so long. Then the fight at the top lane, which should have cost them a second keep, turns in their favor. This was the moment when EE could take keep number 2, maybe even push it for core if they get the kills, but it turns against them. They lose a hero, they don't get the value out of the boss, and then the fight at the bot curse happens, at the bot tribute. Crazy.
It was honestly flawless timing. The fact that they had tribute, boss, 20, trip boss, it was like, honestly, it could not have gotten better. And then the fact that they got the tribute spawn right where they wanted it was like if they were born to win that game at that point.
The Jabronis, they take it, they advance to the semifinals, and we, of course, going to hear now what our analysts have to say about the final map of this series.
Thanks, guys, and congratulations to the Jabronis. They make it, and they beat Excellente here in a dominant fashion at the very least. I mean, the decision-making was on point, but Excellente, sometimes they looked a little bit helpless and clueless at points. I mean, they didn't know what to do against that permanent rotation from the Jabronis, securing objective after objective, guys.
They just covered the fact that RNG was on their side.
Yeah.
That tribute spawned up at the top, and it was perfect for them. And the fact that they already had the ball. Scrubby, we're sitting there in the audience watching this game, and I'm like, get off the boss at the bottom. It's not going to end the game.
Yeah, you were
get
saying,
off
like,
the boss.
it's
You're down a talent tier, but it's not going to end the game. You have to fight against that. You can't give up a curse and a boss pushing the top lane. Give up the bottom one.
Yeah,
I mean,
you put it on a balance. Either the boss is going to maybe kill the keep, do no core damage. Maybe it will do half the keep damage. Or you probably lose the game. Because you're at level 19.3, you're going, okay, the tribute spawn, sure, unlucky. But still, that's a boss with level 20 versus 19. But it wasn't just that, was it? Like they also didn't go straight for the boss, try to do a lot of damage, even force a 19 versus 20. There's all kinds of options. They were thinking like, maybe we can backdoor, but then like, oh no, we can't. That's
the
wasted
Zagara creep was
time.
in the way.
Yeah, but like, just walk over the creep and start a European Hearthstone party again. We even saw like an initial attempt of Hearthstoning back by the Jabronis.
Right, right.
You just need to walk over the creep and sell it. Like, we're serious about this, just go for it. And guess what? Even if they see it and they pull back, maybe
give up
that's
a keep
still
at
fine.
most.
Yeah. Just send one guy to his death, 4 people Hearthstone back to deal with only the boss, you know, that kind of thing. They needed to choose something and do it, but it's so difficult. It's never easy. And Jabronis, they had all the cards for them, and they managed.
But Gilly, go
And
ahead.
they had such patience, too, which I think was really telling of them that they do have people who have been in the scene for a really long time. This is a hard point of a tournament to have patience in.
Right.
You were down to the last game in the decider match. To have that patience and be able to know exactly when to strike, and when you win that crucial team fight, to take everything you can and maximize that gain, very impressive by Jabronis.
Absolutely, and with the second group now being finished, we're leaving the realm of the group phases here, guys, and we're going to move on to where it really matters, the playoff stage. We now get to see who's going to face whom, and it's going to be Dignitas versus the Jabronis. I mean, they played flawlessly, but they're going to have to step up even more, I feel, against such a titan that is Dignitas. And on the bottom, we see Misfits looking super good today against Fnatic, who struggled yesterday a little bit, but I'm pretty sure they used their time to refresh themselves and watch their enemies very closely. What do you make of these pairings, guys?
The thing about the Jabronis is this is actually who Kaldor said he thought would be in the top 4. When I talked to him before this event ever started, those were his words to me. They're here in the top 4. Now they have a much tougher test ahead of them. Those other 3 teams, it's going to be a heck of a show tomorrow, guys.
I want to know who gets the Void Prison Ring of Frost. Those are the 2 teams that ran it. Who's going to get it? But also, how can you not be excited for Misfits versus Fnatic, the rematch?
The rematch.
Semifinals. Only one of them gets to go to the finals for the chance.
And it's very likely to have an even added level of importance, because in a world where Dignitas wins the semifinals, which on paper they might, it's the qualifying match for the other semifinals. Misfits, Fnatic, the one that wins, are probably going to qualify for BlizzCon, because Dignitas, they already got their ticket.
It's really cool. Even Fnatic, like, if they get second place again, they qualify, right?
Only if Dignitas wins.
Oh, sure.
If Dignitas wins, right. Yeah,
but
yeah,
if my
exactly.
Insanity gets that second, they would have a tiebreaker match.
Sure,
Dignitas wins.
If Dignitas wins.
There's a lot of really cool stuff that can happen tomorrow.
Definitely. And of course, guys, we're still live from Gamescom. I mean, that's a perfect venue to get that Heroes of Storm goodness in for you. And you can also use the hashtag HGC, by the way, to let us know who you think is going to win the whole thing, or even just make it to the finals. I mean, there's so many good players out there as well. Aside from us here, we're just pretending to be good, and you can let us know what your impressions are going to be. So, yeah, I think without further ado, we can say goodbye, and thank you very much for your patience today. It was a long day, but hey, a very rewarding one, because you can never have too much Heroes of the Storm at the same time. So make sure to tune back in tomorrow, 12 o'clock p.m., same place, same time. See you in Nexus.